What's up, everybody? Welcome to the MediaSpace Podcast, a podcast brought to you in part by MediaSpace Inc., a marketing and advertising brand strategy agency, and BeGetlo FM 104.0 megahertz. If you want to listen to the podcast next time live on www.begetlofm.co.za, that's www.begetlofm.co.ls. A few mistakes have happened, and I'm trying as much as possible to get it together. My name is Mr. Mashubani, and today we have on episode 6, is it episode 7? We have Tumelo Mokoena. We are trying as much as possible to keep it English, but that's how I say his name, and I'll try as much as possible to have him introduce himself. And by the way, we only have one rule that Tumelo Mokoena in our podcast is that it's as simple as that. We try as much as possible to have a conversation, and this is not a radio interview. This is not even a podcast interview. We are just two entrepreneurs talking, and by the way, I only invite the people that I'm fans of, so don't mind when I am as nervous as I am today. And thank you very much for making the time to come to the podcast. It's really an honor to have you in the room.
Thank you very much, my friend. It's an honor for me to be here.
Thank you very much, Ndade. Oh, by the way, we also I think it has become a thing. 7 episodes in on the podcast, that whoever comes on the podcast, whoever is a friend of the show, we try as much as possible to have them introduce themselves. And when they introduce themselves, we try as much as possible to make it epic so that it lasts for forever, or however we try to say that, so that it lasts in people's minds. Because everyone, even TK, has introduced himself. He made history. So we are trying to push the bar so far that whoever introduces themselves, it becomes epic every time. We had Adrian, who introduced himself. He said, "Okay, Mr. Adrian, introduce yourself." He said, "Adrian is the best. Adrian is the most, is highly favorite." And then we had Mr. TK, who said he's a trailblazer and a high achiever of note. So we're looking forward to how you are going to introduce yourself today. And yeah.
No, man, I'm not sure whether I'm... Especially when I'm caught off guard like that, I don't think that I'm more of an epic person. So my name is Tumelo Mokoena, and I am an entrepreneur, but I'm also a coach and a consultant in the digital marketing space. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to be here.
How did you get into digital marketing? Let's just jump into it and not waste any time.
It's a very long story, but I think I can shorten it a bit.
Okay.
Right. So in 2019, I think it's June of 2019, I was dead broke.
Okay. June 2019?
End of June 2019.
Okay.
I was dead broke. I didn't know what I was going to do to pay rent, and I didn't have money for food and whatnot. So, and I had been in business for maybe about 6 years. 6 years before 2019.
Okay. How were you broke if you were in business for that long?
Yeah, so it's like I'm saying, it's a very long story, and I'm just cutting it in the middle because it's that long. Okay. So when I started into the business space, I went in it with no experience, right? Okay. I went in it with zero idea of what I was doing, but I was just a guy who just graduated at NUL, and I just knew that I didn't want to be employed.
All right.
So I had these big dreams. I was going to make money in the first year. I would be a millionaire. And you know the story when when people are just starting,
you're like, you know what, I can imagine myself in a Mercedes already.
Dude, you're calculating profits from before you even start. Okay. Like, if I sell this many products, I'll make this much money, and therefore you think that's the way it's going to be, you know? And then when I started to realize the reality of business, I found myself trapped in the survival bubble, you know.
So what kind of businesses did you start before?
The marketing space. I was in the printing business.
Okay.
T-shirt printing business for the longest time.
Okay.
At some point,
T-shirts only?
Yeah, just t-shirts.
Okay.
Just doing t-shirts, caps. I mean, just let me say apparel printing business.
Okay.
And so at some point I started a restaurant and did a number of
What
other
haven't
businesses.
you started? Because I'm very excited to talk about the businesses that you have and the business that you're going to start. And I know the conversation is going to be cut very short, but please commit on the podcast today that you will come back.
I would definitely come back to talk about the different businesses.
Exactly.
And a lot of other ideas that I've had over the years and whatnot.
Okay.
So just continuing.
Heard it here first, guys, he is committed to come back.
Most definitely. So like I was saying, I got trapped into the bubble of survival. You make money to pay rent, to buy food, right? But in 2019, I don't know what happened. It's like I woke up and I realized, what have I been doing for the past 6 years? I don't know what I'm going to do to pay rent. I hardly borrow money from my parents. But that time I called home for the first time. And after I called home, and my dad said, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, And afterwards, I remember I sat down in my house and said, I need to change my life right now, And I said, what are top 3 ideas that I've always had, that I've always run away from starting, that do not require me to have money to start? And the first one was manage social media pages for people. That was not a popular thing back in 2019.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, everybody now is doing it. And then I was like helping people buy stuff from China.
Okay.
That was the second one.
Which is drop shipping.
More, not necessarily drop shipping. From Alibaba, I would help people buy products from Alibaba to Lesotho.
So
and charge a premium, like a commission type.
So
of
were you taking the liability of just in case it doesn't reach them?
Of course, but I knew it would get here.
People,
I mean, a lot of people are afraid of buying things that they don't know whether they will get here, especially on the internet.
That's the appetite of an entrepreneur right there. Risk appetite.
I can do this, And then the third one was, let me help people sell their second-hand stuff.
Okay.
Like I know people who are well off, have a lot of old stuff in their garages that they don't know what to do.
Just hanging around.
Just there. So I'm like, I can help people sell those and then get a commission out of that. So because I was hungry and angry at myself
for the past 6 years,
I mean, I'm like, what have I been doing? So I literally started all 3 of them at the same time.
Okay.
So
I'm thinking about the stress that comes with multiple social media pages.
No, man, it wasn't even stressful because I was hungry and I was angry.
It was worth it.
Focused. I was wild, So the first thing I did with the social media stuff, I called 2 people that I knew at the time from my church. 2 business people. I said, so I'd love to have a meeting. It was on a Saturday. I'd like to have a meeting with you on Monday if you are available. It's like, yeah, no, sure, come through.
Let's have a conversation.
The second one said, no, we can meet on Tuesday. So on Monday, I met this guy and I told him that I've realized that you have a social media page. It's kind of dead. It's not necessarily performing well. I can help you with that. So are you open? It's like, I've been waiting for someone like you. So let's jump on it. How much are you going to charge me? I'm like,
exactly. That's how this conversation starts.
I literally don't know, but give me a month. Let me work for you for free.
Give the
and
results.
Let me understand the scope of what I'm doing, because I've only been doing it for myself, but I don't know what it will take, for me. So if you're satisfied, then we can talk about payment.
So how did you come down to a payment? Because like you said, when someone says, okay, how much are you going to charge me for services that you deliver? Not necessarily for social media,
sure.
But how do you come down to a price? Look, okay, this is the service I'm going to deliver. Do you have a system around it, or do you just look at your expenses, like, okay?
Back then I didn't. Now I do.
Okay,
yeah.
But
back then I calculate the amount of work that I put in and the value that the client is going to get out of that.
Okay.
So it's not just I get a price out of my head. It's like, okay, what kind of resources am I deploying to do the service, and then what kind of value is the client going to get out of this?
Okay.
And so, because I know that I'm very good, then I can charge
that
an amount that satisfies me, you know. So, but back then, like I'm saying, I worked for a month for free. And at the end of the month, I sat down with the client and I'm like, so are you happy? It's like, I'm excited.
I love this.
Yeah, so how much should I pay you? I mean, for the second month. I'm like,
did you still not know?
Yeah, like I don't know. I literally don't know, but I've realized that I need a camera. That's the first thing. So if you can buy me a camera, it's still yours, but it will remain with me.
I'll use it.
But also pay me 1.5.
Okay. That's...
So
you basically charged him 15,000, give or take.
Buy me a camera and then give me 1.5 every month. By the way, I was paying 1.5 for my rent, so I didn't want to worry about rent. It was 1.650.
So now you had a room to starve in.
You know what I mean? So that's basically how it started. Then I started the service of selling or helping people sell their secondhand stuff. The page was called The Garage. So I would just say, hey, if you have a bed, if you have a fridge, I can help you sell that. And within a month, I had made over 15,000.
That's ridiculous. Especially
in 1 month.
If you went from struggling.
Sure.
You went from struggling to making over $1,000 in a month.
In 1 month, I had made in commission, and I didn't have to spend any amount of money on that.
You did not sell a product that you owned.
No.
You just became, so you are good at sales. Because they say every entrepreneur has to know how to sell. I have to know how to sell.
And I'm using social media to sell. I'm sitting in my house and I'm like, so I have this fridge, it's 2.5. If a client said it's 2.5, I know I'm going to get 20%, but I can stretch it to 2.9.
Typically, I sell things for higher than I acquired them from. Even if they have depreciated, it's just being good at sales.
Just sell the stuff. So I had made over 15,000. Then, by the second month after that, I know the last amount of products that I bought from Alibaba was worth over 300,000. In the third month, third month, yes. So
that's a lot of
one
money.
client, this was from one client who was like, yeah, no, I need to buy a toilet paper making machine.
That's a lot of money. If it goes wrong,
let's do it.
They trusted you with that much money, especially for a person who says, if they asked you, how long have you been that just started?
Fortunately for me, they didn't even ask. So, but also I had been in business long, so a lot of people knew me.
Knew your business acumen beyond that you just started.
Yeah, so that was that. But fast forward to how I then jumped into the digital marketing space. 2020, early 2020. By that time, I had about 3 clients. Right, and every time I got a client, I would double the price.
Oh yeah.
You know, from one,
it has to.
I would double the price
because you cannot charge the previous client more because that's the commitment. You said you sold the service for this much.
100%.
It didn't make sense for them to just. I've been paying you 1,000. Now I have to charge you 3,000.
You like where that did come from? Yeah, you know. So COVID happens. I have 1 + 3 clients that I work with.
COVID,
you know, and there's that sudden lockdown. The fortunate thing for me, all 3 clients were essential services clients.
Even if they weren't, I think social media marketing and digital businesses boomed during COVID.
At that time, but it wasn't for every business, because if you stop a business, why would you still be advertising when you're not selling any service?
Say a restaurant.
You know what I mean? Like say a restaurant, for instance. So, but with the essential, one of the clients that I was serving was someone who was selling animal feeds.
Oh yeah, essential service.
Those are essential services. You can't let animals stuff. So that was that. And I was in my house and serving 4 clients on social media. I'm a lazy person. I don't like working, moving up and down and whatnot. But I'm like, this is amazing. I can work from home. I can make money and not worry about food and not worry about internet and not worry about rent from home.
And you're even cutting your burn rate. You don't have to spend money on transport. You don't have to spend money on
all I have
things.
to do is go take a few pictures and videos and then post and run adverts. And
Plus,
I'm like,
they are there on the internet. They are. So how do you source your creative? Because say you during lockdown, how did you make the creative work? Because we're looking at businesses that if you're doing social media, you have to show us the product or show us the value of the brand, not necessarily with the product. So how did you source your creative on these platforms?
So, like I'm saying, I was hungry, right?
You keep saying that a lot.
I was hungry and angry and very focused. So whatever I didn't know, I would have to learn and do it myself. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know how to shoot videos. I learned how to shoot videos. I didn't know how to create posters. I have to learn how to create posters. I didn't know how to do, those creative. I needed to learn and do those. All of them, shoot videos, edit videos, deliver to clients. And YouTube was my friend at the time. So to learn all of these things, I didn't even understand what social media marketing was. Okay. And at that time, then I committed to say, you know what? Since I'm at home and I'm making this money, I'm going to commit the money that I'm making into buying courses, into learning and understanding what digital marketing is. And I went on this wild rabbit hole, learning digital marketing, buying courses, great courses, terrible courses, all of it. I went through all of them. Listen, all of them, like, this guy says he knows this. I go into them like, oh, this is terrible.
Some of them say, I make 150 per month. You're like, yeah, he has to know what he's talking about.
Of course. And then you buy the course and it's like, this is terrible. But I came across some of the best internet marketers of our time, and to this day they're still
as good,
and I began to understand what digital marketing is, one layer at the time, and I understood and I learned how to build websites at that time.
You had to know.
In 2020 I built my first website, and it's still standing to this day.
Yeah, because people say, no, a website, it needs it like, for people to build a website, you go from being a UI to UX to everything. So
I didn't even know what UI and UX was at that time. I was like, website, client ones.
Does it work?
Yeah,
is it what
works,
you wanted? So the UI, fancy lingo, you didn't care.
Not that I didn't care. So here's the thing about me. I don't build anything that I don't like.
Okay.
You understand? I don't do shortcuts. Anyone that works with me knows. It's either is good or I don't do it.
It has
to be the good thing, right? So if I'm not satisfied, I'm not gonna go to the client before I'm satisfied.
Let's go back and redo it.
I need to get it to a space where I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
If I like this,
if I love
then it is.
Listen, I can sell what I love.
Because I think it goes back to you being in business for for a few years, not even a few years, for a lot of years. A year is very long in business, because someone mentioned that it's 2 years in business, but it feels like 10. Because a business, you're always working. Even when you are on vacation, you're still working.
100%. Well, at some point, you still need to learn how to separate the two. But obviously, any day is work day, day. So I would learn all these things and commit hours, literally, because we're in lockdown. I would commit days and hours. And this guy who called me once from SA, because as you're learning, at some point you get discouraged, right? And at that time, there's a guy, Fani Haike Museu, but Fani Haike Museu, he called and said, man, I can see that you're interested in digital marketing. I just got laid off work. I'm interested in that. Can we learn together? Right? We would learn. He would buy a course and give me access. Partner. Yeah, he was like my accountability. He would buy a course and give me access. I would buy a course and give him access. We would call for 2 hours straight, talking about what we learned, doing this and that, and
that's so much investment.
Too much. Like at the time when
especially not knowing if it will work.
When I'm tired, it's like, my guy, 10. We're doing this, right? and so here's the funny part. He's no longer in the digital marketing space. He left, but he sort of pushed me to be
the guy
where I am. To this day, he still refers people to me, because then he trusts that I can actually deliver. You understand? And I still appreciate him for that time, because I don't know that I would have stuck with it.
Or gone to a point where you can say, look, I'm a person you go to when you want to learn.
I don't think I would have gone that. The first big client that paid me 8,000, it was from him. And that was in the first year.
In our business environment in Lesotho. Understand, we're talking from a concept of a third world country.
Sure. The first client that paid me 8,000
came from him.
And this was in the first year of my learning digital marketing. And
you weren't even in the I've been doing this for years.
Listen,
man.
It was in August and I started in January, February-ish.
Hey, when COVID started.
Then that was that. And I built their first website with that client, and I was getting 8,000 per month from the same client. So, and the client was excited.
So how has it been being in this digital marketing space? Because I think it has evolved even for you, even what the clients want. So I want to understand that you were very hungry. You got into the digital space and
no longer hungry right now.
Yeah, no, I can see him right now. He's definitely not hungry. He's the guy you go to a hotel. And then when you are at the hotel, you see him standing by the corner. You think he's the owner, so you go to him. You're like, "Sir, I was asking you. No, I'm not affiliated with the hotel." Yeah. That's how he looks. It's pretty sad that we cannot do video today, but I would love to have him back when we have our things in order and do video. To continue with my question, you were hungry, no longer hungry.
I'm still hungry in a way for work and for more and whatnot.
Every entrepreneur, even if you get to 100 million, we were talking about it in our first episode. That there's always the next step. If your next big goal is 100 million, when you reach 100 million, even before you reach 100 million, you already want 400 million.
Yeah.
When you're at 300 million, you see that 400 million is very close. 1 billion.
I want a billion now. Yeah.
Sure. So I was saying. From there to now, how much has it evolved before we talk about what's next for you? And I've realized that you've started a few other businesses, and actually another one, before I knew it was yours, my father, we were driving by your new business, we'll talk about it later, and he said, there's this amazing, it's even at a perfect spot where if I'm doing shopping in this particular shopping center, I can just leave my car there and so I was like, okay, yeah, I know it looks planned. It's not something that you say, I'm hungry, I need money, what should I do? It looks like you actually took the time, made it work, and then put it out there and say, okay, this is what I'm doing now. So we'll talk about that. So I want to understand how what's the journey like for you from starting, making yourself better, delivering services to your clients, and then continuing doing that, actually getting better clients with time, because So I want to understand what the journey has been like for you.
It's been a roller coaster, It's been like I'm saying, like I said when I was telling you where I started off as someone who didn't know, charging a small amount of money, and to someone who is beginning to understand how digital marketing works, to then doubling every time I would get the new client. That was my goal. If I was charging you 1.5, the next client is 3.5.
Okay, so
it's double plus something.
Were you just doubling the price, or you making the service better?
No. I'm getting the service. Better. I'm getting better and whatnot. But the thing is, I'm very clear. I'm gonna test this client and say, if it's 1.5 for the first client, I'm gonna charge 3.5.
Okay.
Not even 3,000. I stretch it a bit with an extra 500. Then we can go down. It's like, it's okay. So then the next one, they stretch and say, I'm like, okay, we can do 7,000.
Until you get to 15. Because 15 is where you're like, okay.
I'm charging clients 15 now.
Because I can say, that's where I was going. Like, when you when you started charging 1,500, you didn't know that you could actually charge 1,500 for service for such a service, and then you push the envelope. It was 3,000.
Sure.
You're like,
maybe there's more.
Maybe there's more.
Maybe there's
when
more.
When you reach 15,000, you're like, I can actually charge 50.
I can charge more. I can stretch it more, and that's been, the journey. But the craziest journey is in Lesotho. A lot of people still to this day do not understand digital marketing. They just think you're taking a video, posting it on social, and boosting it, so that shouldn't even cost anything. Sometime last year, a client called, or a potential client called, and she said, I have 2 businesses and I would like you to manage, like you come highly recommended and whatnot. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I was still open for business at the time, like for new clients. So I tell her what I charge. She's like, what? And I didn't even charge what I'm saying. I didn't even charge 15,000. I was charging, and at the time I was already charging some clients 15,000. So I'm like, I'm charging you 5,000 for this. It's nothing too wild. I can do this. It's like, no way. I was looking at 1.5. I'm like, sorry, and I can't do it.
Someone who can
I'm sorry. I can recommend someone who can do that for 1.5. That's not me.
That's not us.
Because I know the value that I'm bringing. I know that you would get
results
than you would, wild. So that was that.
Okay,
it's a journey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because yes, I'd like to believe I relate maybe a little to your story when you say, like I said, our going back to your pricing.
Yeah.
Because that's the interesting part, especially charging clients in Lesotho. Saying something is worth 1,500 is not the same. Pitching the price to another customer for 100x the price, because 1,500 is like literally 10x the price. So you 10x your price.
Of course, I did. I did from the time I started. I did. I'm like, multiplied by 10, and I'm sticking to that. And clients who understand and who have worked with me understand why I charge that much. And sometimes I do the work and I'm like, but this is even lower based on the results that I'm getting. One of my clients who was like a buy, not the 2 clients that I still work, was just a by the way client, the 14.
It's a one-time project.
On like it was just a 1 month project. Okay. So on the 14th for Valentine's Day, I made them over 20 plus in that 20k on an advert that ran for a week.
Man.
And this, for them, they were just how much making
what was the ad spend?
500.
So it
was wild.
That's return on investment.
It was wild. I spent
that's
500.
4 times return on investment. Not even 4.
4 is too low.
That's 400 times the return on investment.
It was wild, And they had moved from making 3,000, 4,000 a day to then being like, in that day alone, we made over 20,000
forever.
I'm like, but I don't work with them anymore.
You don't take on.
I was just like, no, I'm gonna do this for you for this month. For this month, I need you to understand
what I'm doing.
So I'm just push them to say, this is the direction that you wanna take. Move in this direction, you'll be fine. You don't need to be worried.
Okay.
So
tell me. I saw. I follow your work.
Yeah.
I saw something that you posted that you no longer take clients. So what's that about? If you're doing so well, because you are obviously doing so well. Why?
So whenever I take a client, I pour my soul. Right. I pour everything that I have. And the unfortunate thing, I think, because I'm the person who meets the clients, first face, is that everybody wants to work directly with me. So I've not, maybe that's the problem that needs to be solved. I've not let myself to have a team around me that sort of works with the clients, not necessarily me, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just only one person, right? So I deliver so much value, and the amount that I'm getting is way less, right? And I get tired. I'm tired at this point.
Every human being.
I am tired, and I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I would rather, in Lesotho, I work in the education space, where I educate businesses and individuals, coaching and consulting in the digital marketing space, because they don't even have a fraction of an understanding of what digital marketing space is. Even the corporates, to this day, the corporates that run the digital marketing, they just doing it by posting and boosting. It's one thing, but it's more powerful than, unfortunately, than radio. I mean, I'm here,
than radio,
but than TV, than billboards and whatnot. It's much more powerful and efficient than that. Yet they're spending
a fraction of their advertising
They're
budget.
not even interested in spending more on it. If they could spend half the amount they spent on all these other things, they would make 10 times what they're making at the moment.
And remember that the first thing that you do when your mind goes idle, you check your phone. When you wake up, you check your phone. When someone is talking or whatever, you check your phone.
The name of my business, the name of the business that I have, it's Billboard 21. And the reason behind that
is... I was going to ask you about Billboard 21.
It's the 21st century billboard. Right?
Okay.
And that billboard is the phone. It's the 21st century billboard. And it's the phone.
It's here. I thought when I first discovered it, because before I discovered you, I discovered Billboard 21. So it's like Billboard 21. I've never seen a billboard with a tag of Billboard 21. What's Billboard 21? Now I know. And
I get calls every day of people saying, do you sell billboards?
Do you have
billboards around Lesotho? I'm like, I'm not even interested in billboards.
I don't do print.
I don't want to do print. I mean, I could have made a lot of money out of that, but I'm like, I don't do that because I believe in the value and the power of digital marketing. And if I would play both, then I don't truly believe in the digital marketing
So
space.
now you're playing, you're not, it basically says you don't believe in like you said, you don't believe into digital marketing if you are dabbling in it.
No, you don't. With where I'm standing, and I know that you're playing both.
I'm not playing both, but I would say, like we were having a conversation before the pod, that our services have evolved from just doing digital to looking at the array of clients that we have. Some of them want both. They say, okay, look, we want you to handle the whole, from strategy to billboard, from strategy to implement, to creative, to campaign, to iteration, to optimization. So everything.
Then the question is, are they willing to pay?
They are willing to pay. Because look, it's a client that says, we already had this in-house, but we want our in-house to focus on, say, M-Pesa or say
other things.
Things. Okay. So let's have you deal with the whole digital.
If they are willing to pay what that is worth, then I would do it.
Okay. Because they would say, look, we've already allocated the budget for this. It's always been this much. If you are comfortable, say, because if you're a new agency, you're like, give it to me, because, well, you're trying to have that portfolio, because as a new agency, you're like, I haven't competed in the space and it's a good opportunity. And as an entrepreneur, you look at it, you're like, yes, we need so I'd say, when we started getting into a full service agency, a boutique full service agency, we really just wanted the opportunity. But now we are intentional about it. So now we're not dabbling into social and then this side. We're just doing it because we know this works. We can integrate old media with new media.
To do that, that's the thing. I would, but not now. I wouldn't do it for anyone at this point.
You don't want to be stretched thin.
I would just be focused on the digital part of it, and prove to them that it works better than what they're doing.
Integrated.
You understand? Yes, in part, I would still work with people who deal with the offline media space. I would then help them to see how they can integrate that. Because I mean, it's in Lesotho. Still, that media still works.
The same question. Okay, looking at how people consume digital media in Lesotho, one would argue that Lesotho is Maseru, or Maseru, Mahalesuk, Mafteng, looking at Botabuti,
Sure.
Berea, Leribe. But all these other districts, they don't consume digital media like we do. So how would you have the conversation? Try to convince them that they should do digital in Lesotho.
It depends on what product they're selling.
Okay.
You understand? It depends on what product they're selling.
Okay.
The people who are not, and I'm just answering this blindly without understanding the product itself, because that's the first conversation that we need to have in the first place. What are you selling to who? You know, and understanding that who is going to pay for that particular product, right? And where do they spend most of their time, and how do they prefer to communicate with you or with anyone? How do they prefer to interact with, you know, the business that they want to buy from? You understand? So it's a very broad. But those people that are consuming offline media are for certain services. For the most parts, you know, businesses that are in Lesotho, for the most part, people that they will sell to are actually the ones that are consuming, you know, content through phones. You understand? And the younger generation that's growing, whether
they are in Mokotlong
or what, they are consuming content through the digital space.
Right? Definitely.
And I'm looking at the next 5 years, 10 years. Where will that be?
Okay.
You know?
Playing the long game.
You need to play the long game. So I'm like, okay, without me stretching myself too thin and just trying to do everything, let me operate in the education space.
Okay.
I am in Lesotho at the moment. And we keep on saying time and again that Lesotho is, you know, can be used for tourism, right? We have guest houses, we have hotels, we have these tour guides and whatnot. How they do digital marketing in Lesotho, it's still in the 80s, it's still in the 90s.
They're advertising
they're advertising to Basotho when their target audience is not Basotho. You understand? They're not on Google. They don't have websites that are functional. They don't have the support staff that is constantly checking their emails and are ready to respond.
They're not even communicating with people out there to invite them here.
Trust what I'm saying. Everyone who is engaged in the tourism space is doing a terrible job in the digital marketing space, and I can say that broadly in Lesotho at this moment, even the country, even at the country level.
I'm pretty sure they know that they're doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: a problem with our tourism departments, our government controlled, and everything in the government is managed. It's not run. So if you were to have a business, say Billboard 21, if it were a government entity, it was going to be managed. And things that are managed never go well. Because it's not performance based. We don't see results. We don't look for results. We just tell you, this is what we want to do. If we do it...
But then the way I look at it, it's then to say that's where an opportunity exists. Right? An opportunity exists in a space where a lot of things are run by government. Someone private can operate in that space and offer a much better service for other people. You understand? And the reason I'm not doing it is because my mind works.
You're stretched thin.
I'm looking at this and there's another opportunity and there's another opportunity. I might as well show people to say, hey, you can do that. I can guide you in how to do it. You can also do that. I can guide you in how you do it. But the biggest opportunity at this point is the tourism space.
You just reminded me of something that Tumelo Mokoena is doing. We were having a conversation on episode 1 that he has so many business ideas and he just gives them away. And you are doing the same thing. So that makes me ask you, like I asked him and every other entrepreneur who is doing that. Why?
Ideas are ideas. Ideas are ideas, my friend.
So if you are in business and there's an opportunity to make $1 million, you'd rather give it away.
So here's the thing. As an individual or as a person, you can only do so much. And I would know that because I've stretched myself too wide to do too many things. And you can't be excellent doing 10 different things, you know, at the same time as an individual person. You understand? And as soon as you do that, you are never going to be great. And the same thing applies even in business. I mean, like I told you, I used to buy stuff for people from China. And I always say this to, small business people. Don't sell 20 different products. Don't do that.
Sell a product.
Sell one product.
Be known for the product.
Be known for that product. You have 10,000. You can't go and say to me, I want bags, I want pens, I want
each one of everything.
Each one of everything. Then you're not in business. Literally. Because someone is going to buy that bag and the next person is going to demand that bag. You don't have it. Then you're losing the client. But if you were to say, I have 10,000, it's a small amount of money. Can I buy, earrings that cost those? 10 cents? I'm going to buy 10,000 earrings and sell those.
You still have enough money to run digital ads.
You run ads, you do this and whatnot, but people are knowing you for those particular
earrings. And you can even charge a premium because you are known for the product. You're not doubling in it.
You're not selling,
earrings, bracelets, caps. You just reminded me of a quote by Rory Sutherland. He's a British advert guy.
Okay.
Chairman of Ogilvy. He said something around the lines of 10 times 1 is not equal to 1 times 10.
No.
Basically meaning if you have a customer who buys 10 times from you, buying the same thing, is not equal to 10 customers who buy once from you. And it's the same idea of just be known for one product, or don't buy multiple products that you don't know about.
Sure.
Buy something that you know and then sell that and be known for that.
And if you're going to move to the second product, it has to be a product that complements the product that you're already selling. To then say to someone, if I buy a watch from you, I can get a wallet. Or I don't need to buy a wallet. I can get a watch plus a belt.
And necklace. It's jewelry. It's related.
But you start with one product and you scale. When you've got into certain space, you're like, okay, what's the next logical product that I can buy from, that I can add to this, so that my people who have been buying these things from me can then say, we already have your earrings.
Might as well buy glasses.
I mean, we trust this person. As soon as I buy from you, I trust you enough to
give you my money.
Again, you understand? So it's then easier for you to sell to the person you've sold before than to try to find the new person to sell something different, right?
Okay, so the conversation is easier. Okay.
If I was operating in the Bomatutu space, for instance, those guys...
Where you thrift products.
Those guys go to Small Street in Joburg and buy almost the same products. But they buy 10 different products. They sell
to competing with each other with the same product.
But if they were to say, listen, I'm just going to focus on just hats. Black hats. I'm just going to sell black hats. Not even hats, just black hats.
Buy 100 of them.
Buy 100 black hats. That's it.
That's very risky.
It's very risky.
But
it's an interesting one because it's most rewarding. People know that if I want black hats, I can get them from this person. So then it's understanding the whole dynamics of business to then say, who am I going to sell these black hats to?
Where am I going to be positioned for people to buy these hats?
You understand?
So there's this thing that we do when we are doing strategy. It's a very easy strategy thing. I think anyone who wants to understand what Tumelo Mokoena is saying would literally just use it. We have A for traffic, we have C for conversion, and then we have economics, E for economics. So T, traffic. Traffic is people who would be a pool of people who would buy from you. And then economics is the money they would be spending. And then C is conversions, which is the reasons why they would buy from you.
Sure.
So if you start with a T, say black hats, I want to sell black hats. What's the traffic for you, and do they have the money? So if you have all those three things in place, you have a business. If you have the traffic and you have the economics, but you don't have the reasons to buy, say you are in Russia, it's very snowy, but you want to sell them caps. they're not going to buy your caps.
They won't be buying
They don't have
caps.
the reasons to buy your caps because it's always snowy.
Of course.
But if you sell hats, warm hats, now you have reasons to buy. Even if you started reasons to buy, you can even mark up the price and charge even more because now there are better reasons to sell. So focus on those three and you will have a business.
Sure. So it's one of the guys that I follow. I don't know why I've forgotten his name, but he talks about sales a lot, right? He says the biggest sales strategy the number one sales strategy that you need to execute on the digital space is be easily findable, right?
Okay.
Be in a position where people are looking for you, can easily find you. That's it. You don't need to be going around convincing them and what people are constantly searching. Yes. Just be where
digital
people
marketing services near me. You should be available.
You should be there.
Seen.
You should be there. Sneakers or best sneakers in town. Be there.
Even if you're number 5, be there.
Be there. And when someone calls, even if you're number 5, someone calls the number 1, they don't respond. Number 2, they don't respond.
Immediately
be the one who responds.
So competing is very easy then.
It's easy. And we want to complicate it by just trying to spend a lot of money on all these things and whatnot. But it's just, are you selling your products to the people who are looking for those products? Or you're just, I'm very passionate about this. I don't teach anything digital marketing before I start with, why are you in business in the first place?
Okay, what are you selling?
What are you selling? To whom are you selling that? What kind of a problem are you? What problem are you solving? Because people go into business for the wrong reasons, especially in Lesotho. We're hungry
all the time.
We're hungry, and my friend is in the nails business. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I might as well learn how to do nails but you're not saying, what is my friend doing in the nail space?
How can I complement
that I feel, or what is it that they're not doing that I feel it needs to be done for me? I mean, for the market to choose me.
Someone mentioned that if your friend sells cars, might as well start a tires business. So that now you can actually collaborate and make even more money than when you were competing with him directly.
That's and I would put it this way, right?
Okay.
And say every solution creates 1,000 different problems. You see, you have a problem that exists, and you are going to solve that problem. As soon as you solve that problem, there's 10,000 different problems that arise because of that solution. We have, I'll make an easy example. Hunale project ya Pudihadi in there was a problem that was being solved
when they started.
Yeah, Pudihadi. But then there's another problem. People need people to be transported. There's food that need to be there. There's medical services that needs. There's fuel that needs to be delivered. There's cleaning that needs to be done. There's security that needs to be. There's a lot of other opportunities that exist. So you can't run and want to start another Pudihadi product or project. You might as well say, hey, who is supplying these guys with cleaning materials?
Might as well.
I might as well do
personal
that.
Protection.
Who is doing this? All of those things exist because the solution was created, which is Pudihadi project.
So if I'm getting into business, I'm going to create problems, basically.
100%.
Okay, Mr. Mokoena, please tell us about your next business that we mentioned earlier. It's a very exciting business. I want to understand what you're doing and how did you come up with this crazy idea, because it is amazing. Kudos to you. And you don't know this, but yesterday was I? No, Wednesday. I was at the barber on where you got off a taxi, and then I saw you, but you didn't see me. So you got off and went to your shop, and then you left. I don't know. So I was telling the guys in the barber, I was like, you see this guy? He owns that. And I was so proud that I know you. So
sure.
It's very exciting to see people build big businesses, because that's a big business, especially even where it's positioned, even how you go. Just tell us about it. I don't want to compliment it too much without you telling us about it.
So, like I've said, I have a lot of ideas, and a lot of them I keep forgetting. Some of them I remember. I'm like, oh, I've always said I wanted to do this. I've always said I wanted to do this and whatnot. So last year, around September, right, I was driving with a friend of mine and we were talking about different businesses that we would start. And I'm like, a car wash is one other business that can easily be started
in town,
but I didn't even know, but I'm like, the location is the most important thing. So we're driving down the main cycle, then down the Mushosha Road, going towards Central Bank. And as we were passing where the car wash is right now, we realized that space is empty. So
nobody's using it.
Yeah, and he says, this is the space that can be the car wash, right? I'm driving.
Just like that.
I'm driving and I'm moving and, he said that. And we passed the traffic lights just by Central Bank, still going down. After the traffic lights, I stopped the car. I'm like, you're right.
So you thought about it?
Yeah, I was like, that's is the perfect space.
It is perfect
for the car wash.
It's perfect.
We need to go back and see what's happening there.
Whoever owns the space
takes the car, and then we go, and then we don't find anyone, and the next day
it's a chicken race to find the owner.
I'm like, who is this person? And then I go the next day he wasn't around. In fact, he was still around. We went and there was still no one, right? The gate was still open. It seemed like someone was in the office, but there was no one. The third day, he had to go to Maputo. But I'm like, guy, I need to go check that space. I am 100% convinced that this is
the before people find it.
I need to go. So I'm there the third day, still looking for the person. There's no one. He calls me and be like, dude, the space that you're talking about, they just posted it right now on Facebook.
No.
And I'm like, and here are the contacts. And then I'm like, call the guy. Oh, in fact, he gives me the number. I call the guy. I'm like, yo, I'm at this space. Are you?
I've been looking for this space.
And he's like, okay, so what do you want to start? I'm like, I want to start a car wash.
He thought you were crazy, I think.
No, he didn't. He's like, oh, interesting. Let me call. This is the agent. Let me call the owner. And I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. Okay. Calls the owner, and the owner is like, where are you? I'm like, I am at the place. It's like, okay, I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Okay. So I'd wait, definitely.
I'm waiting there, and I call the guy. It's like, the owner is coming. It's like, okay, no problem. So the owner comes and is like, what do you want to start? I'm like, the car wash. It's like, okay, I think that's a perfect idea. And he looks at the guy. We didn't even agree on the rentals. We didn't agree on anything. It's like, okay, I'm giving these guys the first priority. So take down the post on Facebook.
Plus, these are the guys. Idea.
Yeah, these are the guys that I want to work. I'm like, okay. So he's like, okay, here's the thing. Give me 2 weeks. I'm gonna renovate this whole place. And he paints, stretches the space because
it was a car lot.
Yeah, there was there was a parking lot there.
Because I think it's 2 spaces.
2 spaces. There was a parking lot. Then he extends and gives in the parking lot inside and says, I don't want you to have problem with people parking here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stretch this and do the devil's forks around the parking lot. I'll just leave maybe 3 cars and whatnot.
Awesome.
So that's how he went above and beyond to make sure the space was ready for us. Inside the house, there's an office-like space. It was a 4-roomed,
it was partitioned.
So he just broke down the walls and created an open space. It's like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I have a feeling you need this thing like opened. So I'm just going to break it down, paint it, put in the new ceiling, put in the new this.
Whoa.
And when you're done.
He just believed in your idea.
From the onset, and I didn't even have the deposit to pay for. I didn't even have the deposit. It's like, no, this is 20,000. I'm like, my guy, I don't have 20,000. You need to go down. I need a better offer. This is a starting thing.
20,000 every month, consistently.
My guy, bring it down, please. I need 3 months, 4 months. Just breathing. It's like, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to give you this first month for free, and
put
yourself, and I'm going to bring it down. I don't want to tell you how much I'm paying. I'm going to bring it down to this amount, but after this time, then we need to go back to that. And it was such an easy business to start because you had someone who believed in it. And
the landlord understands.
The landlord was very supportive. I still appreciate him.
It's a perfect location.
Sure.
Like I was like, what? Because when I saw it, I thought they were washing the cars they sold.
Like, a lot of people still think that.
They sold cars, so they are basically washing the cars.
Sure.
Like, what? This is awesome.
Yeah. So that's that.
Mr. Mokoena, thank you very much for making the time to come to our podcast. This means a lot. As much as a lot of things didn't go as planned, we'd really love to have you back, and we'll have everything in place this time.
No problem.
We'd definitely love. I think because people consume more of video than audio, I really loved it to be a video. This is a special case, and we don't want it to happen again. So we'd really love to have a second episode with you, and we thank you for your patience in me and my team. And it's very humbling to see a very successful person have that much humility and patience in people. So thank you very much, Ndate, and we'd really love to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, man, I can commit to that. I can commit to that. Just let me know ahead well in time, then I can create time and come through.
How is early April?
Okay, let's do early. Let's do early April. Let's do this. Let's do early April. Let me not say that.
You heard it here first, guys. We're gonna have Mr. Mokoena here on the podcast. Where can everybody find you on the internet? Because now they cannot see you, so they're not gonna recognize it easily.
So on every platform that I'm in, I'm official Tumelo Mokoena. So you just find that.
Okay, official Tumelo Mokoena. You had it here first.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And on YouTube, I have a channel called Simplified Marketing Systems.
Simplified Marketing Systems.
Yes. That's a channel. That's where I'm going to be doing a lot of coaching and consulting educational content in that space. And yeah.
I really wish you well, and because I'm a fan of the show, a fan of your work, I'd really love to see you do well. That means more people will actually get to experience your work and learn from you, and we need more of you in Lesotho and across Africa and across the globe, really. And thank you very much for coming to the pod.
Thank you very much, sir.
That's it, guys, from the MediaSpace Podcast. If you are new to the show and you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and follow us on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast, and Spreaker, and all other digital platforms I did not mention on the podcast. And thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. And if you are a fan of the show and want to listen live to the next episode, go to www.wiketofm.co.ls or go to the MediaSpace Podcast or on www.mediaspace.inc/the MediaSpace Podcast. See you next time. It's me, Mr. Mashubani, and we out.